Hi, welcome to 5-Minute Art Tips. Today we're going to talk all about why varying the direction of your brushstrokes is really important. It's important because when you change up the direction of your brushstrokes in a painting, it really creates movement and texture. When you're looking at a painting, whether you realize it or not, the brushstrokes really tell your eye where to look. If you're using oil, acrylic, or even gouache paint, brushstrokes will always have a subtle texture, even if you blend a lot. They'll never be truly flat, so even if you think that people can't see them, they still will have a subtle texture. So because they are directing our eye in so many places, we really want to pay attention and just be really intentional when creating brushstrokes. So in this video, I'm going to paint the same image twice. One will be with all the brushstrokes going in the same direction, and the other will have varying directions and movement based on the images in the photo. And you'll really see a big difference. You'll notice that your eye really goes to certain areas because of the brushstrokes, so it is that important. All right, well, let's get into the video now. The way that I first learned about the power of brushstrokes was actually by mistake. I had bought a painting from Goodwill, which I often did in the past because it was cheaper to paint over that than to buy a new canvas. And this painting had thick, abstract brushstrokes. So I painted over the image a cute dog and clouds. I didn't sand the original painting, and my painting looked awful. Behind the cute dog and clouds were these thick, swirly textures showing through, and they did not go with my image. This lesson taught me to always make sure every brushstroke was intentional. The texture and the direction of your brushstrokes go hand in hand. Because there is texture, the direction matters. So in these paintings I'm showing here, the differences will be subtle. The one on the left has directional brushstrokes and intentional brushstrokes. The one on the right, I'm just sort of marking all in the same direction. If you bend or swirl lines in a specific direction, the eye will follow. If you want to emphasize an object or area, you want to use more paint on your brush for thicker brushstrokes and more texture, and you want to guide the eye in that direction. If you have a filler area or a background area that's not that important, you can use subtle brushstrokes that don't really bring attention to that area. Brushstrokes are truly 3D, so they become a sculptural element in your painting. They're the physical embodiment of ideas. Large brushstrokes are brave, signifying that you aren't afraid to be bold, while smaller, wispy brushstrokes may create a feeling of beauty and intellect. I'm always asking myself, how can I bend lines? Lines that seem straight. How can I sweep them and provide more movement? A great analogy here would be hair. So if you think about like stick straight hair versus straight hair that has a slight curve to it, we've all seen straight, flat, lifeless hair. And then we've seen shiny, bouncy, technically straight hair, but it has a movement and a bend to it. And there's a big difference. So that's what we want to do with our brushstrokes and our lines. We want even the seemingly straight lines to be directional, interesting, and guiding, moving. I like to treat each area of the painting too as its own section. So we don't want just the focal point to have interesting brushstrokes. We want each area to have, varying directions and textures. So I always ask myself, how can I change up the direction here or, have thicker brushstrokes to enhance this corner or this object in my painting? Or maybe I want to make one area more blended and subtle and one area more rough and sharp. The shape of your brush also determines the feeling of your painting, so rounded brushes may provide softness or sweetness, while straight, square edges may bring out harsh or intense feelings. The type of brush you use will affect your brushstrokes as well, synthetic or animal hair brushes. So animal hair is much coarser. I personally prefer synthetic brushes. I like how smooth they are, but it doesn't provide as much texture, so you want to keep that in mind if you really like painterly or, expressive brushstrokes. Your brushstrokes can represent your conceptual ideas as well. You might use a super large brush to make one sweeping brushstroke across the sky of your painting. That could signify open space or vastness or mystery. You could have swirling brushstrokes in a body of water to portray high energy and life forms in that water. So back to the paintings that I'm showing, you can see that they are similar looking, but the one on the left just has more movement. You can feel the flowers flowers and the grass blowing in the wind. The ocean is really curving towards the mountains. The sky is, moving with the earth. And the one on the right is just a little bit more stale, flat, 2D. So take these principles and really apply them to your art. So no matter what feeling you're going for, you can harness the power of brushstrokes and portray that in your painting. You can enhance your colors and images with just direction and texture of your brushstrokes, which is such a cool, powerful tool. All right, well, I really hope that was helpful. I would love to hear your thoughts about brushstrokes, texture, movement, direction, all of those fun things. And I hope this was informative if you didn't know these things already. And yeah, just thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out my Skillshare classes and like and subscribe. And happy painting!